Coming up on Network Africa. Egypt declares 3-month state of emergency after attack on Coptic Christians. UN honors victims of the 1994 Rwandan genocide. And Kenyan couple win male and female races of the Paris Marathon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joka Rogers. Let's start with the stories that made headlines over the weekend.
At least 44 people were killed in Egypt in bomb attacks at the Cathedral of Coptic Pope and another church on Palm Sunday, prompting anger and fear among Christians and leading to troop deployment and the declaration of a 3-month state of emergency. Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attacks, which also injured more than 100 people and occurred a week before Coptic Easter, with Pope Francis scheduled to visit Egypt later this month. The assault is the latest on religious minority, increasingly targeted by Islamist militants, and a challenge to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who has pledged to protect them as part of his campaign against extremism. According to Ministry of Health, the first bombing in Tanta, a Nile Delta city about 100 kilometers north of Cairo, tore through the inside of St. George Church during its Palm Sunday service, killing at least 27 people and injuring at least 78. The second, a few hours later in Alexandria, hit St. Mark's Cathedral, the historic seat of the Coptic Pope, killing 17 people, including 3 police officers, and injuring 48. Also in Somalia, a car bomb exploded outside a military base in the capital on Sunday, and it killed at least 15 people. The death toll could rise as a minibus carrying passengers was destroyed in the blast that targeted senior officials leaving the base in a convoy. Major Hussein Nur, a military officer, says the exact number of casualties was not known, but all the people on board the minibus were killed, and soldiers and other private security guards had also died. The Islamist group Al-Shabaab, which is carrying out increasingly deadly bombings despite losing most of its territory to the African Union peacekeepers supporting the Somali government, claimed responsibility for the attack. About $3.1 million worth of rhino horns, which were shipped from Mozambique, was seized by the Malaysia Airport Customs via Doha on Qatar Airways. The seizure of the rhino horns was the first case in Kuala Lumpur International Airport and comes after local media reported an 846-kilogram haul of ivory tusk at the airport in January 2017. Kuala Lumpur Airport Customs Director Hamza Sundang said that they found 18 pieces of rhino horn weighing 51.5 kilograms. The horn was shipped with false documentation and classified under obra d'art. The case was still being investigated and no suspect had been arrested or found.
Well, for stories trending today, we begin from North Africa, where a 3-month state of emergency declared by Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has been approved by the country's parliament. The move comes after 2 church bombings that killed over 40 Coptic Christians in Tanta, Alexandria cities on Sunday.
Egyptians in the Nile Delta city of Tanta have held funerals for a number of victims of Sunday's bombings targeting Egyptian churches that left at least 44 people dead in Tanta and Alexandria. An emotional goodbye to the victims of Egypt's palm attacks. Mourners grieve for their loved ones as their bodies arrive for a late-night funeral with tight security. It's a miserable and painful feeling going through this cruel experience. We were not expecting people who live with us in the same country, people whom we've shared love and friendships with, to do these things. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said a 3-month countrywide state of emergency would be imposed, subject to parliamentary approval, after 2 deadly bombings hit Coptic churches on Palm Sunday, April 9, killing at least 44 people and injuring more than 100. In a televised speech addressing the nation, Sisi called for national unity and urged the media to refrain from coverage that could be harmful. In the meantime, Egypt's cabinet has approved a countrywide state of emergency for 3 months. This was confirmed in a statement on Monday, April 10, a day after the church bombings. There was heavy security presence and barricades outside a St. George church in the northern Nile Delta city of Tanta, where the first of the bombs exploded, killing 27 and wounding around 80. Meanwhile, Egyptians have denounced the killing, praying for peace in the nation. These people are Egyptian. We were raised with Ayad, Nassim, Alfi, Gergis and Mahmoud. These people are our brothers and sisters, and we love them. I pray to God to have mercy and push out the evil. Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attacks, which also injured more than 100 people, and occurred a week after Coptic Easter, with Pope Francis scheduled to visit Egypt later this month.
In the east, at least 5 soldiers have been killed and more than 15 others wounded after a suicide bomber wearing a military uniform blew himself up inside a military base in Somalia's capital, Mogadishu. The Al-Shabaab militant group, which is linked to Al-Qaeda, has claimed responsibility for this attack. A second attack killed a government official after a bomb was planted in his car. The attacks come a week after President Mohamed Abdullahi declared war on the group and offered militants a 60-day amnesty. In Central Africa, political protests have been banned in the Democratic Republic of Congo. DRC police authorities put the order in place as anti-government demonstrations were being planned across major cities. The main opposition coalition had called for nationwide rallies today against the government's failure to implement a deal which would pave the way for President Joseph Kabila to step down. Under the terms of the deal, elections would be held before the end of 2017, in which Mr. Kabila would not run.